Okay, this one's for Frank. Sorry, it's been a little bit here. I've been very, very busy, so we're going all the way back to March 14th council meeting, and there's 3 meetings that I'll give an update on. From here on, we're going to try to do these videos once a month after every second council meeting anyway, so there'll only be a couple of videos over the summer, but try to do them as quickly and as often as possible to keep everybody up to date with what's going on. If you need a little more current information, you're more than welcome to come to the council meetings, because man, they're fun. Monday, March 14th, Hearts and Minds group. This is a group led by Fawn Abuse that's done an absolute incredible job since the flood, just taking care of the kids in this town and getting them through their needs, and this was a letter of support to continue funding for that program that I feel is extremely important. We're not out of this yet. We've said that for a while now, and it's ongoing. So we sent that letter of support for them to have their funding continued. Little one, this was a lane closure. Town of High River, over the years, for whatever reason, how they get there, but we've got these little pockets of land kind of scattered around town, and we have absolutely no use for them, and we just don't see how there's any need to keep them on the books. So we're trying to find buyers for them. Adjacent landowners are being offered, and just to clean a few of these up and get them into people's hands that can actually use that property. So this one was a little piece of property between Foothills Custom Meats and Blue Spruce Motors, and so that was the motion was basically just to close the laneway so that it could be put up for sale. So next one was Spitzee Crossing Area Structure Plan Amendment. This comes from the information received from the public hearing on the amendments to the area structure plan, and that was a very, very good public hearing that I spoke about to a couple of months ago, and the developer has taken those comments and made changes in regards to how the residents feel, and keeping it a little bit closer to the original ASP that was approved by previous council. So they've done a great job of listening to surrounding residents, and they're going to be bringing it back to us. We gave it first reading, and it'll come back for another public hearing, but which I don't think will have quite as many issues in it again. But it's important to note that the Spitzee Crossing development is going forward. We're being very cognizant of where it starts along that edge of the floodway. So we know where it is, and the engineering has to be done properly. Engineering has to, and the mapping has to show that it is protected just as well as every other place in High River. So we'll continue on with it. It's going good. Privately owned garden proposal. This was a privately owned lot at the east end of Birchwood Park, just before you go into the old Rio Vista Golf Course gates. And the owner brought this to us. What they wanted to do was take this private lot, turn it into a community park. The problem that we had with it is they wanted the town to forego the rezoning costs, which we will not do. There's fees associated to any private landowner that wants to do rezoning. There's no exceptions. It costs staff time and everything else to do those things. So the other piece that he wanted was possibly for the town to build a parking lot for this thing. Well, we're not going to do that either, using taxpayer dollars for something like that. If we didn't build the parking lot, they wanted a trail built from the Birchwood parking lot across into their lot. Now, that's a really bad one, because that would go right across a ball diamond, and we can't have people going back and forth in the middle of a ball game, of course. So Those three things just didn't sit right with me, or council, period. But they want to use this lot for events in the town. And we have beautiful parks already here. Birchwood Park is one of them that can be used, and George Lane is the premier one in this town, and it's there for weddings, funerals, whatever you want to use it for, we can do it. So it's all there for the community, and that's what it is. So encourage the landowner, if you want to do this kind of stuff, then yeah, you can, but there is rezoning charges. We have to look at parking. If you're going to have 50 people in there, where is everybody going to park? Because if it's on the street, there's going to be some pushback from the surrounding residents. So away we go. We've got excellent garden areas, parks in town. Assessment Review Board appointments. I always like to mention these because these are people that put their hand up to get involved in their community to make sure they have a say in how this place looks. So with the Assessment Review Board was Rob Bennington, Geraldine Gervais, and Mr. Thomas Crawford for a term ending October 31st, 2018. That was the Monday, March 14th meeting. So the Monday, March 28th meeting, first one was the High River Rotary Club clock tower. This is a clock tower that's being designed and by local artist Bob Pike. This is all the Rotary Club that's putting this together, and it's basically just to commemorate the volunteers, anybody involved in the flood of 2013. High River needs a clock tower downtown. Every other community has one. It's just one of those things that your community needs. And I praise Hank Leefrink for getting this thing going. And it's going to look really, really cool. We're incorporating it into the downtown redesign and making sure that everything that's needed with the power and everything is going to be in place for that. So Hank's continuing. He just brought it to us just to show us what's happening with it. There are no tax dollars involved with this. This is all privately done with the Rotary Club and private funds that are being donated to that. So don't worry, it's not your taxpayer dollars doing this. That's all I'll say about that. There will be lots more to come. It'll be a couple of years probably before it's done and installed. So, Royal Canadian Legion, the High River branch, they came just to show us the sign they want to put up commemorating the flight training school that's out in the northeast corner of town there. There's a tiny little sign there that's kind of off. You kind of almost got to go into the place before you see that little sign. It was moved after they built 498. So they want a nice big sign that actually shows some history of what this airport was and how important it was at that time. So something that High River can always be proud of is that little flight training school that was out there, because it was a pretty big deal. Secondary suites, options for the regulation and enforcement of the illegal suites. There'll be more to come on this one. This is such a hard thing for the town to get our hands on, because there's a lot of legalities as far as accessing somebody's property just because somebody says it's an illegal suite and they don't like it. Doesn't always mean we can just crawl in there and shut it down. There has to be safety issues that are known, and then you get into going to court and everything else with this stuff. So secondary suites are damn tough. So our biggest concern, of course, are illegal suites that are unsafe. It's a safety concern that's of utmost importance to us. So there's still more information to come back to us before we make any kind of decision as to where to go on this thing. So away we go. Our new CAO was appointed, Mr. Tom Maier. Tom was the former, and still is, our CFO. He's achieving both roles right now, but this was just the official appointment as Tom Maier as our CAO. And this town is in very, very good hands with Tom at the helm now, with leading this organization internally, because it's a large organization. You're talking 130-ish plus employees. It's not a small task. A CAO's job is an enormous task, even in a town this size. There's a lot to ask of these people. So I know 110% we have the right person in the job. And I can't be more proud of Tom for sticking his hand up and putting his name forward for this job. So thank you. High River Library Board member-at-large appointments. We appointed Mr. Terry Storch and Mr. Rob Lamb to the High River Library Board for 1 year and 2 year terms. Letter of support for the town of Okotoks. This is for their water pipeline that comes from Calgary to Okotoks. And this is an important pipeline for everybody south of Calgary here. For Okotoks primarily, they need it ASAP, and we're all for lending support to that. The only thing that we wanted to make sure was that they, when they build that pipeline, they size it appropriately and big enough so that High River and Nanton can tie into it. Everybody thinks that High River has this endless supply of water. It's not quite like that at all. We've got water for probably another 20-25 years, depending on the rate of growth, but that's a pretty good time frame to be looking at for what we've got for water. When we need water, it's going to come from Calgary, so we're going to have to be tapping into this line. So we just want the government to make sure it's big enough when they bring it to Okotoks. So, community gardens, governance and agreements. This was just a letter authorizing the mayor and CAO to sign license of occupation agreements for these 2 community gardens, one going the end of Riverside Drive and the other one going over in McLaughlin Meadows also. These community gardens are really important things. I didn't know a lot about them, but Shepherd Family Park has a waiting list. That's our only community garden in town. Has a waiting list a mile long. So for us to be building these 2 that are directly from the town of High River, I'm pretty proud of it that we're stepping up and making this happen, because a lot of people need it, but a lot of people are living in condos and don't have access to their own garden anymore. So this helps them out, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. The Monday, April 11th meeting, there was only one thing on the agenda. The actual meeting, I think, was about 14 minutes long, but it was a really important piece to this, because it was has to do with the amount of money we've received from the Alberta government in regards to flood recovery. And this report brought to light that we're having a few issues with our DRP claims. The town is no different than a lot of the homeowners or businesses going through the DRP process. It's just that our numbers are quite a bit bigger. So we're getting aggressive with DRP, that we've got applications in there that need to be looked at, and we need to get some funds flowing so that we can keep things going here. There have not been any issues or anything that hasn't been funded to this point. The government has been very, very good, and we're more than grateful for it. But this DRP thing is something that's got to get fixed, and we're putting a lot of our time into our DRP advocacy committee. Has done a lot of work to put a report together to send to the Alberta government as to what needs to be fixed. The biggest thing is all the other communities around us and in this whole province need to be paying attention to this, in my mind, because the disaster that the DRP has caused for people has sometimes been worse than the water itself. So we just don't want this to happen to any other community ever again. We've learned enough lessons to it. It can be fixed. It just takes the will to fix it. So Minister Larrivee has assured us that they are on it, and it's going to take some time, of course, to go through it and everything else, and we're respectful of that. But we've got a lot of work to do yet, so we just need to keep our DRP applications flowing through the process properly so that we receive funding and we can continue on and get this done with. That's about all I've got for that. And two important things. Spring is here, so welcome to downtown construction again. We've been through this. This is our third year in a row of very, very aggressive construction downtown. Important to note that all of the businesses are open. Yes, they are a challenge to get to sometimes, but we are putting signage up and everything, directing you to them to make sure that they're everybody knows that they are open and where they're at. So, but it isn't going to be another major summer of construction downtown. It's not fun. It's not healthy for the businesses going through this for this summer, because it's carnage. It is what it is, but it's extremely important to the future of this town. So we're pushing it. We're doing phase 3 and 4 so that this is the final year. There'll be some touch-ups next year, I'm sure. We just got to push through this and get it done. So it's all because of the initial infrastructure failure that's underneath the ground because of the flood. So it's not just redoing sidewalks. This is major stuff that has to be done, because all the businesses will fail if we don't replace that infrastructure. So we've got the opportunity to do it, and we've got the opportunity to change things downtown and make it better, and that's where we're headed. So it will get done, but there's always challenges with this kind of chaos. So the next one is give you a quick update on where the southwest berm is at. We're pretty much finalized the design of the berm and where it's going with the landowner whose property it is on. The application has gone to the Alberta government. They had the first part of it, and about 80% of it has been there since May of last year. A month ago we finalized it with all the engineering, knowing that the design and where it's going was approved by the landowner. So the application has been finalized. It's with the Alberta government. Now we move into the public consultation phase and a couple of the environmental regulations that we need to go through. And that'll all be coming up in the near future here. We're having one meeting with a couple of landowners tomorrow, and away we go. We'll grind through it and get this one done as well. So this is an extremely important piece to High River's mitigation. And I want everybody to be very, very clear that the southwest berm only redirects water. It does not put more water down the Little Bow or anything like that. It redirects it so that it doesn't run through the town of High River first before it goes down the Little Bow, because in reality, if we don't do anything and we don't build this berm, the water goes down the Little Bow. If we build this berm, the water goes down the Little Bow. It just keeps it out of the town of High River, our hospital, and everything else that's in the southwest end of town, downtown. So there's lots of things that are going to come out with the public consultation phase, and there's a lot of landowner conversations that we need to get through. So we're doing it. It can't happen fast enough, of course. We want the bags gone off at 12th. Everybody's sick and tired of that, including us. We need to get that thing opened up for two-way traffic. That being said, we will not open that up until we've got the berm started and the flood season is past us and everything's looking good. Safety and flood protection for High River is priority one. So yes, the bags are not the be-all, end-all by any means, but they are better than nothing. So they will stay there until we're confident that we're far enough ahead that we can remove them. So that's about it. Enjoy the weather. It's a little bit crazy out there with the heat and everything, but hey, 2 thumbs up. I guess that's 2. Enjoy it. Have fun. Thanks. Bye.